So let's talk about something really interesting that's happening in the Cincinnati housing market. It's a bit of a head-scratcher, really. On one hand, you've got prices being slashed on, almost half the homes for sale. But on the other hand, houses are selling faster than ever. So what in the world is going on?
And that's the big question, isn't it? It just doesn't add up. I mean, you see a ton of price cuts and you immediately think, it must be a buyer's market. But all the other data, everything else we're seeing is screaming that sellers are firmly in the driver's seat. Let's dig in and figure this out.
Well, here's the twist. It turns out those price cuts aren't a sign of a weak market at all, not even close. It's a strategy, a really clever, intentional move that sellers are making to get attention, stir up some buzz, and hopefully spark a bidding war in what is an unbelievably competitive market.
To really get what's happening, you have to follow the numbers. Because the data tells a story that's completely different from what you might think when you just hear about falling prices.
Okay, so here's the number that's causing all the confusion. 41.8%. That's right, almost 42%. Nearly half of all the homes listed for sale in the Cincinnati area have had their price cut. That is a huge number, and if you just look at that alone, you'd think the market's in real trouble.
And your first thought is probably, wow, things must be slowing down a lot. If sellers are chopping prices left and right, demand has to be tanking, right? But that's where this whole thing gets so paradoxical.
Because now let's look at the other side of the coin. This number right here, this is the absorption rate. It means that 427 homes are getting sold, literally absorbed off the market every single week. That's not a slow market, my friends. That is a market moving at an absolutely blistering pace.
And this is where you see the real tug-of-war between supply and demand. While 427 homes are selling each week, only 347 new homes are hitting the market. It's simple math. More houses are going out than are coming in.
The bottom line is, the total number of homes for sale is actually shrinking. Week after week, the pool of available homes just gets smaller and smaller. And that, right there, is the textbook definition of a hot seller's market. It just completely flies in the face of all those price cuts.
And if you need one final piece of proof, here it is. This is what we call months of supply. Basically, if not a single new house was listed for sale, Cincinnati would be completely sold out of homes in just 2.3 months. To put that in perspective, a normal balanced market has about 6 months of supply. So yeah, this is wildly tight.
Okay, so we know Cincinnati is its own weird, fascinating bubble, but how does it really stack up against the rest of Ohio, or even the whole country? Let's zoom out a little and get some context.
First up, let's talk money. The median home in Cincinnati is listed for just under $360,000. Compare that to the rest of Ohio, where the median is $279,000. That's a 29% premium. It's just a more expensive place to buy a home, plain and simple.
Now get this. Look at the speed we're talking about. The typical home in Cincinnati sells in 49 days, same as the rest of Ohio. But look at the national average, 77 days. Think about that. Homes here are selling almost a whole month faster than in the rest of the country. That's incredible demand.
And let's circle back to that inventory number. Cincinnati's 2.3 months of supply is way tighter than the national average of 2.8. So no matter how you slice it, this reinforces what we've been saying. It is an intense, competitive seller's market.
So given this really unique, kind of strange market, what should you actually be paying attention to? Whether you're thinking of buying, selling, or you're just trying to make sense of it all, these are the key numbers to watch. Think of these 4 numbers as the dashboard for the Cincinnati market. That price reduction rate, it tells you about seller strategy. The absorption rate, that's pure demand. The relisting rate shows how sellers are having to adapt, and the days on market just confirms the incredible speed of it all.
Let's drill down on that relisting rate for a sec, because it's fascinating. Almost 14% of the listings you see are homes that were taken off the market and then put right back on. This is another one of those clever little strategies, a way for sellers to hit the reset button, maybe adjust the price, and get a fresh wave of attention from buyers.
So what this all boils down to is a complete rewrite of the old real estate rulebook. For decades, the thinking has been price cuts mean the market is weak, but the new reality, at least in Cincinnati, is that price cuts are actually a tool, a sophisticated tactic to drive activity and get a deal done in a super fast-paced environment.
You know, this completely changes how you have to look at things. The asking price isn't the finish line anymore. It's just the opening move in a really complex game of chess. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. In a market this strategic, what's your next move going to be?